Hello again and welcome to the Fit Family Foundation's podcast. I'm your host, Victor Fernandez, and I'm excited for today's show because of the special guest who's joining me. Now, I know I say that a lot. I say that about all my guests because they're all great. They're all special to me. But this young woman's awe-inspiring and inspirational story she will share with all of us is something you all need to hear. And you all have to get a sense and a feel for the energy and excitement that she brings to that story and really everything she does, because that will simply shine through here today. Now, normally, and I shared this with her before we came on the air, normally I have an intro scripted for all my special guests. I want to make sure it sounds great, it sounds genuine, and it really gets the show off to a great start. And today's no different. I do have a script here as well. But, for now, I wanted to go a little off script. And since she's okay with it, I'm going to share with you a post that she shared a short time ago. Now, it just talks about her day, what she's doing today being Wednesday. Recording a podcast with me, of course, that's number one on the list, has to be. Office hours on Wednesday, being on a live panel tonight, which sounds really interesting that I want to talk to her about in the Women Empower group. Cardio and Shoulders Day. I hate Shoulders Day, but I do it anyway. Apex weekly coaching call. We're going to talk about Apex as well, so you'll know exactly what that is. Helping the best clients ever because her crew rocks, and I know she feels that way genuinely. Lots of steps and lots of coffee, and you get all that energy even from lots of coffee, just by reading that. So now I'm going to continue with who my guest is. Now that you got a sense of what her energy is like. My next guest found health and fitness at the age of 16 for the most important reason there is, because her life depended on it. Until then, she, and I quote, had serious confidence and mental health issues and was viewed as a total social outcast in school. Her words, focusing on health and fitness provided the mental release she needed to get through her difficult high school years. And as she describes it, health and fitness saved her life. And I think a lot of us can say that in so many different ways. But now it's her life's work. It's her passion. She's a highly respected and highly successful leader in the health and fitness world. People work with her because they know she stands behind exactly what she sets out to do, and that's to help broken people ignite their fire again. She travels far and wide to share that inspiring message with the masses on a variety of different stages. And buoyed by her immense passion, her expertise, her energy, which you're going to get a sense of here very shortly, and work ethic, she helps clients create a lasting transformation, have an abundance of energy on tap, and live their best life by doing the work inside and out to fully activate their power and confidence. In other words, she's going to bring the fire. That's all there is to it. Please welcome to the show, Miranda Jiggins. Miranda, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Victor. That was, I think, the best intro ever on this planet. So just totally made my day.
I'm
You're
available
so sweet.
for
I really
hire.
appreciate it.
I'm
Yes.
available for hire. I can travel with you wherever you go. I travel light. I'm cheap, so we can make it happen.
Good to know. We can totally make it happen for sure.
Well,
thank you again for having me. I'm so
well,
honored to be here.
As I was telling Miranda off the air, I said, ever since I heard her on a good friend of mine, Kyle Slaymaker's podcast a while back, I've been wanting to get her on the show. And you know what? I just figured, time to shoot my shot and get her on. And she was kind enough to join us because she has a great, great story to share. And I want to go back to the beginning, back to what I discussed in the intro. Take us back to high school, where that transformation truly began. Was there a moment in time when you finally decided, it's time to push through the struggles, push through the fear, and make it all happen?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I actually have had two pivotal moments in my life when you described that. One was in high school and one was in January of 2021. But going back to high school, oh my gosh, I've done so much growing since then. Sometimes it's hard for me to put myself in that place, but I would never forget. And I think it's really important to reflect. I think it's important for everybody to reflect as to where they came from, because it's what truly lights our fire, and it's why we all do what we do. When I grew up, I was very shy, very awkward. I didn't own a pair of gym shoes until I was 16 because I used to think they were ugly, and I was just like super skinny girl. But yeah, I never actually really quite fit in, even though people were like semi-nice. It's like we never quite clicked. And that was really hard for me because I never understood why, and I desperately just wanted friends and I wanted to fit in and I never really just clicked. And now I've done a whole lot of like growth and inner work and I'm developing as a leader. A lot of really upper level business owners actually start out that way when they're in school. So I'm learning that now. So that's all clicking at this point. But so it actually all started when I'm 5 years older than my brother is. So when I turned 16, I got my license and he used to do boxing. So I had to drive him to boxing practice. So being the older sibling, I think most older siblings can relate. When we get our licenses, it's our job to take our younger siblings to wherever they have to go to help our parents out. So I used to have to take him to boxing. So I would drive him to boxing. And then when I would go, it was only an hour. So I would just sit there, like, hang out, do homework, whatever. And then when he was ready, we would leave. And then one day his boxing coach, she's like, why don't you work out with us? And I was like, what? She's like, yeah. So I was like, okay. So the next time I went and, I worked out. I wasn't very good, but that's okay. But I still did it. Right. And afterwards I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I just felt really great. That's the only thing. I didn't do it to the whole getting in shape part or getting fit part wasn't even on my radar. It's just the fact that somebody invited me to do something. I was like, oh, I feel included, first off. And B, afterwards, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel really great. I just felt lighter and, I was happy because, you get the endorphin rush after you work out and all of that. So I continued to go. And then I started feeling a little bit stronger. So that's when I hired my very first trainer ever. His name was Matt Packer. And he had some kind of a affiliation with my brother's boxing instructor. But his gym that he trained out of was right down the street. So I ended up hiring him because I did have a part-time job when I turned 16. I really wanted to work. So that's where like my whole passion of working came from. I naturally have a really high work ethic. And when I turned 16, I wanted to get a job, mostly to take my mind off of school, right? So I got a job at Red Lobster. I was a host. That was my very first job. And that job actually carried me through college. Super grateful for it. Absolutely loved it. I loved working. I loved my job there. And so I was able to pay for a personal trainer, right? So I was like, will you train me? So I ended up training with him on the days that I took my brother to boxing. So I dropped him off, go see my trainer, and then I would take us all home. And then so that's kind of how it started. But I was like, I feel so empowered, right? And then that's when I got hooked on working out. I just did it kind of like recreationally throughout high school. College is when I got a little bit more serious. I wasn't competing at that point, but I was driving once a week to go see my trainer who was about 50 minutes away still. So I trained with him all through college. And then that's when I got more serious about working out. I still wasn't really sure what I was doing completely, but I just knew, but I was learning, right? So sophomore through senior year is when I got really serious about working out. I was working out, 6 days a week, all of that. And then when I moved up to the Dayton, Ohio area after college, I met my bodybuilding coach. And then that's when I started competing. I did my first show in 2018. So that's kind of how it got started in high school. It was more of somebody inviting me in and me just feeling good about it and feeling included. And then you feel so much stronger. So that's how I got started.
Well, first off, I love Red Lobster. That's number one. I love Red Lobster. Haven't eaten one in a long time, and I want to change that because I love their food. But talk a little bit about what you mentioned, the being included part. How much does that play into what you do now from a business perspective, from a health and fitness coaching perspective? Because if you felt that way at some point in your life, that so many other people have felt that way or may feel that way right now.
100%. And that's something I really that's what I'm super type A about in regards to my coaching. It's like every single one of my clients feels included, every single one of my clients gets treated exactly the same, right? And in my group, everybody supports each other. That is the core value number one. If somebody, there's absolutely zero negativity. There's no, supporting one person over the other. I just have zero tolerance for that at all. And that is one thing to get you kicked out of my program. I've never had to do that. And that's because I'm really upfront about that when people first come in. I said, here are these core values, A, and B, people work out to feel good afterwards. That's what I've really learned about being a trainer. Some people start, they're like, I want to lose 50 pounds, right? But that drive will not keep you going. You have to want it more than that. You have to want it because you look at it from a mentality perspective and you feel good after your workouts, right? And you've had a good day and if you've had a bad day, you know you can rely on your workout to feel better afterwards, right? And I really, really, really am all about that in my programs. And when I do phone consults with people, I tell them, I'm very upfront. I said, we approach this with a mentality first, right? We focus on the workouts and how we feel during the workouts. And do we feel stronger? And do we feel more relaxed after the workouts? We don't approach this from a weight perspective at all, because that's the way I never did it. And that's the way for longevity, right? So if you go into this doing, I want to lose all this weight, that's not enough. It's not get deep enough, right? So being that included, really getting deep as to why we're doing this, like feeling better, feeling included, a safe space for people to share their bad days, and a lot of people in my Transform You group chat, we don't even talk about working out there. We talk about our days and if someone's having a rough day with their kid, and it's support, right? So you have to come to it from that perspective for it to be effective. And I really, really, really believe in that. And that's what my whole program is based off of.
Well, talk about, we all have, I know for me, yes, this is our job. This is our livelihood. This is how we pay the bills. Cast that aside, because I know you do the same thing. Anyone in this business who's worth their salt does that, says that that's secondary. Helping people, transforming lives is what matters. So take me through what it feels like when you have someone that you can relate to, that you're working with, who's struggling in some way, shape, or form in life, and you see that transformation, mental, emotional, and physical, take place. What's that like for you to see it happen, knowing you can relate to exactly what's happening?
Oh my gosh, I love that question, because that's exactly why we do what we do, right? Nothing makes my day more than that. I mean, I will have a smile on my face for the whole entire day when my clients have their wins, even if they're just small. And I don't like saying wins. I don't believe wins are big and small. A win is a win no matter what. A win's a win for your perspective. Some days you have a great win. Sometimes you have like huge wins, quote unquote. Other days, your win may be, I made it home alive today and I walked for 15 minutes. And that's huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I really truly believe that, first off. And then it's the best in the world for me, because I've been there and it took one person to pull me out, and to be that person to help somebody else, to be like that one person that helped me, for me to help somebody else, it's amazing. And I take so much pride in that. And I really feel like it's my duty to help people, to pull them out of their dark places, and show them a light and show them that they do matter, and that someone does care and someone will support them and be on their side and like their cheerleader and their motivator and be there when they're having a bad day and all of that. So it's my life's work and my life's passion to be that person for somebody.
Now, I know we all, as health and fitness coaches, have learned along the way that we can't approach two people the exact same way. We have to find a new way to connect, a new way to get inside. And I share people real quick the story that of a client of mine in the past who kept saying the word just. I've just lost 20 pounds. I've only lost 20 pounds. And one day I decided, all right, in between sets, because I couldn't get through to him, in between sets, I'm going to hand him a dumbbell in each hand, 10 pounds in each. And I'm going to have him hold them between each set throughout the entire workout, to the point where he was upset by the end because I had him holding these when he was supposed to be resting. And I finally said, that's what you lost off your body. That's what you're no longer carrying. So I wanted to ask you, is we all have those challenging clients that we have to try that much harder to get on the inside, to connect with them. Is there a story you can share? And I'm sure you got plenty of them, where you found a unique way to make that connection and give them that aha moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, there's so many.
I figured there would be.
So first off, so 100%. So everything I do is custom to each person, right? So no one is the same at all. So I approach every person as their 100% own individual. I mean, some people can go through things a little bit faster. Other people needs a little bit slower. But I would say Natalie Mullenhand. She's absolutely amazing. She's been with me since day one. And so she's been with me for almost 5 years consistently. She has two, she's had two hip replacements. She has RA, rheumatoid arthritis. So her hands are like this. People can't see me, but like her fingers are like curled in, right? So fingers are curled in. She has a few other things going on, right? And then she has a lot of, things. She has tons of things she can't do, but there's also some other things that she cannot, right? So I do a lot of modifying, so I can modify for anybody. So when she first started working together, she was pushed too hard by a lot of trainers, and not pushed too hard as in like breathing too hard, but like she can't get on the ground. She just can't, because of all of like her stuff that she goes on. So other trainers in the past would, be like, okay, so who cares? Like, get on the ground anyway, but she physically can't do it. Right. And then just by listening to her and then, making a plan to say, hey, we can totally make this work no matter what. You know what I mean? So, and then now we totally have this structure going on where we do all of her workouts standing up. Like when she comes to her group class, we do her core standing up, and then she gets a super great workout in the amount of time. But I think it just came from more of like a listening perspective, right? And listening to your clients and then really catering more towards them. I don't really know if that was a difficult client, but that was an amazing client that came from a really difficult situation that she was just looking for somebody to listen to, right? She just wanted to be heard, right? And that's kind of a common thing with my clients is when I attract a very specific type of client, they're all going through some sort of pivotal moment in their life, whether it be, a divorce, career change, anything like that. They're all going through some kind of major life pivot or they haven't been heard yet or they haven't been feeling included. One of those three things is kind of like where my clients come from. So it's just taking people that have been in a difficult situation and modifying what we're doing to them, I think has been really, really, really impactful. I hope that answers your question.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a great story, first of all, because you see that a lot. I've worked in gym settings as well, and you cringe at what you see when a trainer simply is not listening to what their client is saying. It's right there in front of them, and they're choosing to ignore it because they believe, well, I'm the expert, so I know better. So forget what you're thinking. You got to do it my way. And it just simply doesn't work that way. And it's something I think all health and fitness coaches have had to step back and learn, over time. I think we all have. You mentioned obviously a real key, statement was wanting to be heard, wanting to be listened to. How did that change for you? Because now, I mean, I read your posts, I've listened to your podcasts, so I follow what you do. And it's impossible not to stop and listen to what you're saying to get that true message, in part because the message is very important. It's very genuine. It's very authentic, but also the energy that you supply that message with. How did you go about the transformation from being someone that you thought wasn't being heard to someone now who everyone wants to listen to?
Yeah, that's a really, I love that question. Okay. So I always say that to all of your questions, but I love all of them. But I really like this one. Okay. I extra like this one.
I'm having a good day.
I'm having a great day too. So okay. So I had a really pivotal moment, January 2021. And then prior to that, so I met my very first mentor in the 2018 timeframe, and I became fully self-employed in 2019. I used to have a huge this whole workaholic syndrome, right? So I didn't take a day off. So now that I've done all this inner work, I understand where that came from because it came from my high school experience, right? And I went straight to work when I was 16 and I loved it. So that work all the time really carried through. And I sold cars out of high school, right? So I didn't take a day off for 4.5 years. And I was really, really, really frustrated towards the end of that time, right before I met my current coach. I was building my business, but I still felt like I was being not super respected. And that's really frustrating, right? Not necessarily by my clients. There was a few, not the ones that I have now, but there was a few, but it was more by other people, right? Not being heard, not being respected, time disrespect. A lot of external people I felt viewed me as mentally weak, right? And I admit it, I was. I used to not so much now. I mean, I still cry now, but I used to like cry to the drop of a hat, and I would get really frustrated with people if I felt they were coming at me, and I would get like snappy back, and I'm not a snappy person at all. But I've done this whole inner work journey and I realized why. It's because, it's from not feeling included for so long. And now you're coming at me now. And I'm just trying to do my job every single day. You know what I mean? Like, so there was that whole thing. So I had this really pivotal moment, January of 2021, and that I can't share online. I haven't really told anybody. So I'll come out with that one day. But so that was that moment I decided, I said, there's gonna be no more pushover, Miranda. I was done. It was that moment I was done. I was from like, that came from high school, not taking a day off for 4.5 years. My business was somewhat growing, but it was totally stuck, right? I hit a huge ceiling. I didn't know where to go. I was at a really, really, really low point in my life, January 2021. I was napping 3 hours a day. Can you imagine me napping through it? I don't do that, but it was definitely my darkest time for sure. But we always shine super bright out of a dark time. But that was that moment. I was like, I'm done. I'm done being a pushover. I'm done being like the bubbly blonde. I'm done being the one that's too nice, right? The one that say no. And I feel like a lot of women, especially, and guys too, they feel that way, right? I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not, so I was like, I'm done. I said, this moment, I'm going to get mentally tough. And I didn't care what I was going to do. I was going to figure it out. So I found David Goggins, right? So I started listening to all this stuff. I'm like, I'm going to learn from the most mentally tough person on the entire planet. So it was that moment. Plus, then I met my coach, Stacey Rathke, who's a part of Apex, hired her. She's been a huge impact in my life. And I learned boundaries, and I learned fear, and I learned control, and I learned how to manage myself. I'm such a high performer with all these goals that us high performers really need to learn how to manage ourselves correctly in order to be effective. And I didn't know how to do that. I had all this power and all this drive, and I didn't even know. I just thought I was weird, right? I just thought I was weird, and I wanted to fit in. Everybody thought I was crazy, but that's not the case. So yeah, that's just kind of where that whole pivotal moment happened. And then that's when all my posting changed, right? A, because I started believing in myself and what I was saying. And B, the way you learn how to manage yourself and handle yourself and have those boundaries, it will shine through. And then that will project onto how you approach people and, your social media posting and showing the world who you really are. So I think that's really, really important.
Oh, absolutely. And I know one day you will share that story, and I hope it's with me. I hope it's with all of us, because I know if you've been listening to this whole episode so far, even just a snippet of it, that you stop and listen, you're going to learn. There's truth nuggets in there everywhere. So I know that story is going to do the same. But I'm not going to push you. When you're ready, I'm ready to listen. But you mentioned, and I'll be honest with you, I'm having a hard time imagining the taking 3-hour naps. Just seeing this bundle of energy and listening to this bundle of energy, it's hard to imagine that, but I could see where you're coming from. So where have you found that balance between the powerful woman, the powerful coach that you are now, and the person who isn't that workaholic working every day for 4.5 years? How have you found that sweet spot, that happy medium?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I my very first assignment with Stacey, when I signed on I met her in January, signed on with her program that May of 2021. When I first met her, I was so excited, and I knew, I was like, she can help me. I said, I just knew. And it's really interesting because now when my clients to me, they're like, I know you can help me. So it's kind of interesting to be that, as I love being that person for other people. But I said, I'll do anything she says except to take a day off. I said, I will do that. I said, I'll do whatever she says. I don't care what it is, but I'm not going to take a day off. Day one, my very first assignment was, okay, we're going to take a day off. That's your homework assignment. Oh my gosh. So I think I cried for 3 hours after our Zoom. I called my mom and I said, okay, but I came back to her and I said, I need 1 month, because Zoom, that assignment was the very first of the month, and my clients commit for the month, right? So I can't have a client commit, then me just not be able to do it, right? So I said, hey, I've already been, like I already have my schedule for the month. The next month, which would be June, I said, I will do that. And she said, okay. So I had 1 month to rearrange my whole entire schedule. And my very first day off after 4.5 years was the first Friday in June of 2021. And that was the magic sauce for me. You seriously having that scheduled decompressed time for you is key for your elevating. I really have that to probably equate to about 40% of where I am now, just by taking scheduled time for me, because it makes us reflect, relax, reflect, process. And during that time, we find out who we are, right? And it all happens subconsciously. Like it doesn't like pop into your head right then and there, but it really works on, quote unquote, the back end. I truly believe that, because that combined with all the other, work I did and all of that, that's kind of how I am now. And it's seriously you have to take scheduled time per week, especially as a busy high performer. For you, it's 100% needed and necessary. So I really am a huge advocate for that right now. So that's why my business is kind of transitioning into mentality coaching, because it's definitely transitioning to more of the mentality only side for sure. But that was it. And I have it all to equate for taking time off for me. So that was and that's definitely the biggest factor of what I used to do. What I do now is I respect me and I respect my time, and I have that. I know that seems really simple, and the answer should be way longer than that, but it's not. That's what it is. But it has to be the same scheduled time every single week. Like Friday, that's Friday for me. I call it do nothing Friday. I don't take clients Friday. If I work with my energy on Friday. So if in the morning I'll do a couple of emails or whatever messages I have to respond to from the week. And if I feel like doing more, great. But if I don't, I don't. And if I don't, I really make sure I don't stress about it. That's the key. And then picking back up on Saturday. But that right there is the magic sauce to everything.
Man, you are speaking my language, because that's something, to be honest, that I still, I don't know if I want to use the word struggle, but something I still work on. Feeling good about taking time off, understanding that everything around you isn't going to crumble to the ground because you take a day off, because you take some time for yourself, or for your family, and for me, that's a work in progress. And to be able to hear it from you, to come from the place you were in to the place you are now, I mean, it can't help but provide inspiration for someone like me and so many others out there listening to this, to understand that life will go on, even if you take a step back, to really enjoy life and do something for yourself.
Right.
Take me through that mental side of things. I know that's become such a big part of what you're doing. How do you approach that with clients, especially clients that are really struggling with whatever it is they're struggling with?
Yes. Okay. So if somebody comes on from my mentality only program, first off, everything is 100% custom to them, even more than in like the fitness realm, because normally people come in and they're quote unquote broken at some point. Like I said, they're going through some sort of pivotal moment in their life. So some people need, and when you're healing, because I've been through this like really deep healing journey, you have to take time and be respectful of the way the energy is working for you. So they all come in, I start them on an AM PM routine. That's like the first thing that we do 100%. Are they doing one? Great. If you are, what are you doing? If not, if you don't know what it is, that's fine too. But we start them on an AM PM routine, and we customize that as we go. I start them on one, and then something probably and that is not going to work for them, which is great. And I tell them to expect that, right? And then we just modify with that. So after they get consistent with that, then we normally go into boundaries work, right? So it's AM PM routine, then we go into boundaries. So boundaries is normally right around the week 1.5 to 2-ish, depending on how the AM PM routine is. So the key is not to rush anything, right? We don't want any information. We want to push gently, but not a lot of information overload, because this takes time. Some people catch on really fast. Other people need some more time. Either way is totally fine. Actually, then for the remainder time, I have 25 different worksheets that we do. And then I use the word worksheet lightly, but we do fear and like control, right? And I have an activating your purpose whole manual, right? I don't say manual. What is it? The modules to work through, right? And then I also do weekly check-ins with them as well too. So they do they have to I check in on them all the time, but they have a weekly check-in sheet that says like, do you feel like I hit your goals last week? Why am I not? How are you doing? Blah blah blah. And I send them a voice recording response every Monday morning with a plan for the week. So that's kind of how we do it. I hope that answers your question, but that's kind of like the general outline in regards to how I approach that.
Well, talk about, and I'm sure that taking a day off to be able to self-care is in there. Absolutely. I'm sure, because I know how well it
Yes.
worked for you. But I think everybody out there wants to know, what does a day off for you look like now that you take days off?
A day off for me. Okay, so this looks like this. First off, I don't wake up to an alarm. That's my favorite part. I wake up early every single day and I'm really used to it now. But contrary to popular belief, I love to sleep in. So I'm a sleeper. Even though I wake up early, I still love to sleep in. So I don't wake up to an alarm on Fridays, and it's amazing. So I wake up naturally, which is around 8 o'clock for me is late. So I normally wake up around 7:30, and I normally wake up around between like 5:30-ish during all the other times. So, but I wake up, I make my coffee, and then I do some back end things, just like quick responding to things, blah blah blah. And then I normally go to the gym. So I work out between 2 to 3 hours per day right now because I'm in prep. I'm a competitive bodybuilder. So I'll go to the gym, then I'll come back. I might do some, like if I'm working on, like if a new phone site leak or something, I'll do that, read a book. I don't know. I really don't know. I just kind of do like whatever. And then if it's nice, I'll go sit by the pool, and then I'll go back, and then I'll do my second half of my day workout later in the evenings, and I'll do my steps for the day. And then I'll just read. I know I seem like an introvert, but I'm missing. I know I seem like an extrovert, but I'm really introverted. I love my quiet time, and I love reading. I energize by having time for myself, like quiet time. Like some people get energized by going out and hanging out with people. I'm not that way. I need my quiet time, and I love just to piddle around for the day and just read and go work out. Just no stress.
Nothing wrong with any of that. All I know
Right.
is that I have some clients out there right now that are listening to this that are probably cringing at the thought of having to work out 2 or 3 hours, because they're probably thinking, man, she's giving Victor ideas. And Victor with ideas in his head is a dangerous proposition. So they're probably cringing. They're probably saying, please don't make me work 2, 3 hours a day. Please don't. I'll pay you anything. Just please don't make me do that. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do that. Trust me on that one, unless you ask nicely. So, but I do have to ask. You mentioned being an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it like when you step on a stage, either for a bodybuilding competition or when you step on a stage, be it a physical stage or the Women in Power group that you're going to be talking to later tonight? What's it like to be able to step on that stage, be in the spotlight, and have everybody hanging on your every word and knowing you're making an impact?
Yeah, I love it. I really love it. When I first started competing, I used to get really nervous on stage when I did my very first show, but that really helped me kind of like work through that. But I love it, and the reason why is because when I was in high school, I this is like the only that plus fitness plus this thought's like the only thing that got me in. So okay, or got me through, I should say. So when I was in high school, when I was going through those really hard times, I desperately wanted somebody in the business world to look up to that had the same past as me, that was killing it. Right? I wanted some like boss woman who was killing it in the business world that was bullied in high school too. I wanted that as an inspiration to look up to, and I couldn't find anybody. And that really hurt. I was like, why is nobody sharing their stories, or why is there nobody like this? So I knew that thought is the one thing that, got me through, is that like, I'm going to be this person for somebody to look up to and say, hey, they are killing it. I'm going to be like them, that may need someone like me to look up to that was in the same situation as me. So that's what I think about when I'm on stage. I think about my younger self sitting in the audience, looking back up at me and being like, I can really connect with her. I'm going to be just like her when I grow up. Or not just like me, everyone's their own person, but someone for someone to look up to. Because I just wanted someone to resonate with when I was going through that hard times, to like, be like, hey, if they can do it, I can do it too. But there was no one. And that didn't sit well with me. So the thought of me, I always wanted to speak on stages ever since I was in high school to share my story. And I knew I'm going to share my story and it's going to be really impactful someday. So I've known that ever since I was probably about 15, 16. So that's what I think about when I'm on stage.
Now I know high school must seem like forever ago. I know it does for me, but I'm 50. I'm old, so it has to, that's how it usually works. But I know for you, do you ever stop and think about what if I hadn't, driven my brother to boxing classes, and if I had shied away from joining in when I was asked to join in on one of the classes? Do you ever stop and think the path you'd be on right now if those pivotal moments hadn't happened?
Yeah, I do. I'm glad you asked that because I haven't thought about that in a while. But yeah, it's I don't know where I would be. I don't know where I would be. God knows where I would be, seriously. Probably not down a really great path, that's for sure. So I don't know. I'd probably be really lost. And I definitely would not be, sharing my story that I am now. And I'm so grateful for those moments in high school because I really feel like I would not be where I am without that. I truly, truly feel like I would not be where I am today without those hard times, including, my rock bottom moment in January in 2021. But yeah, but it's just interesting how things work out. And I really fully believe that everything happens for a reason, because looking back on my life, like you said, if I didn't do that, like drive my brother to boxing or, even agree to join in, right? Not even taking him, but I could have said no, I didn't know what I was doing, but just the fact that it was just the fact that someone says, hey, like you're included, just come on in, right? It's like, it wasn't even the workout. It was just the fact that was like, hey, you can do it too. So, yeah, but I feel like every pivotal situation in my life that I'm to get me where I'm at now has totally happened for a reason. And I say this all the time to my clients, and I like to post about this too, is that we may not see that reason why it's happening now, but it's happening for a reason. And we might not know that reason 6 years from now. But now I look back to who I was, 4 years ago, and I was like, oh, that happened for a reason. It's like, oh, that was really hard then, but that totally happened for this to happen, right? So I love looking back on that. I think it's real. I think timing is everything. And it's so yeah, people just trust their instincts, right? Trust their intuition.
And if they don't, they need to start, because one thing's for sure, outside forces may have different reasons why they're sharing this and that with somebody, and they may be leading you down the wrong path. But deep down inside, we know exactly what we need. It's how we bring it out and how we utilize it, how we capitalize it on it, that really makes the difference overall. Now, for you, let's look ahead. We've looked back. Let's look ahead. Obviously you have a bright career and a great life going on right now. But where do you see yourself, and do you allow yourself the time to see a year down the road, 5, maybe even 10 down the road, and what it may look like, what you want it to look like?
Yes, I do a ton of visualization. I normally do. It's so hard for me to say where am I going to be in 5 to 10 years because I honestly don't even know. But I definitely have a 1 year goal for sure. I am definitely my program is on a little bit of a pivot right now. So that my investment levels are going up in September, but I'm also adding some stuff too. So I'm working with my coach with that. So it's really exciting. I have this, my coach, Stacey, she's so sweet. She says it's not super lofty, but I have this goal that I've only told 2 people. So I'm broadcasting it now for everybody. This is a little lofty, but so I'm moving to Dallas, Texas in January. So I'm moving to Texas in January. So I'm really excited for that. And my goal is to be an Apex executives in 1 year. So, and in order to do that, I need to have a specific financial goal. So that is my goal, is to be in that room. Only because I will learn and grow so much more as a person, and B, I'll be right there in Dallas, right? And they're kind of like my family. So, and I want to go more than quarterly. So that's definitely my goal for sure, and just kind of lining that up to hit that. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit lofty. I'd have to 4x my income in 1 year. But I know we don't talk about my finances a lot, but I would have to like 4x my income roughly in 1 year to do that. So I have a plan, and I was like, well, why don't I just try? It's like, why not try? So like I'm like really excited. So that's my goal for sure. And then yeah, just kind of seeing where that takes me. And I have some goals for my business as well too. So that's definitely one of them. And then just continuing with like my bodybuilding and my competing. I'll compete in the fall. So I'm really excited. I don't have a date yet, but my coach should be telling me soon. And I'm just having successful move in January. So that's kind of what my 1 year looks like.
I'm telling you, folks, there's something about Dallas, Texas. I'm beginning to learn over this past year or two that that's the place to be, not just in the health and fitness world, but certainly in the business world, where the people are that you need to know, that you need to be influenced by, all seem to be either already there or, like in Miranda's case, moving there. And as I've told my wife, damn, I wish, Dallas, Texas had an ocean, or a beach of some kind or something, not just in the middle of the state there, landlocked, because we'd be there right now. But my wife especially, and I need an ocean to be near. So we haven't made that leap as of yet. But it's definitely the place to be. And I know Miranda going there is just going to add to that, exponentially. You bring her, as you've discovered, her energy and her fire. I told you, folks, I wasn't exaggerating. I told you, the energy and fire is always there. That's why I wanted her on this show. Before we wrap things up, I want everybody out there to know where they can find you: social media, internet, carrier pigeon, whatever it is you use to get the word out about yourself and what you do. Let's let
Yeah.
everybody know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a very easy person to find and get a hold of. My If you Google me, my website's just mirandajiggins.com. Facebook, it's just my name typed up, and then Instagram, it's the same, Miranda Jiggins. Yeah, Facebook messaging is a great way to get a hold of me. Please drop me a liner. I'm always available for questions. And I think if you want my email, you can reach out for that too. But most people, we just do Facebook now. I mean, I think everybody's on there. So yeah, so Facebook, Miranda Jiggins. You can type in my name, mirandajiggins.com. Yeah, pretty easy.
Absolutely. This has been exactly what I thought it would be and more. I'll say that much. I said I wanted to get Miranda on the show for quite a while now, and because I knew the energy that she would bring to the table, and not just the energy, but all the knowledge, the insight, all of it that comes with it. And it's been exactly what I thought it would be and more. So I definitely appreciate it. I'm honored that you came on the show. I appreciate you joining me, and I know sky's the limit for you now and moving forward.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. The sky's the limit for you too. So I'm very proud to be in your circle.
Well, I appreciate that. Same for me. Definitely proud to have you in my circle as well. Folks, reach out to her if you need help, especially in the mindset kind of side of the game, because she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's talking about, and she will get you results, and she will transform your life. It's as simple as that. Because I scream this from the rooftops every opportunity I get, because it's so important to me. She's discovered over time how important it is not just to, improve her life and set up her life the way she believes it should be, the elite level, the elite version of herself, but it's generational now. She's impacting so many generations of people out there that are going to pass it on right on down the line. Because as you always know, and I always say, and by the way, I didn't say any of this earlier on because I wanted to get to Miranda early in the process. But subscribe to this so you know when this episode comes down. Leave a 5-star review. I know this episode deserves a 6-star review. And of course, share it with anyone and everyone you cross paths with. Because as I always say, and Miranda said it so eloquently today, generational health begins with you.